Gold Invest. Explore opportunity.
Sranan Gold, SRAN on the CSE, is exploring for gold in Suriname at its Tapanahoni project and has already reported numerous high-grade hits. Now, though, the company has announced a land acquisition that takes its holdings in the South American state to a new level. We are talking to CEO Oscar Louzada today and also to the VP of Exploration, Rayiez Bhoelan, to hear more about the Lawantino project, I think it is called, and the reasons for the acquisition. Welcome, gentlemen.
Yeah, morning, Björn. How are you?
Good morning. Let's start. For us outsiders of the company, the focus has all been on Tapanahoni, on the drilling. Now, seemingly out of nowhere, Sranan is presenting a new project. How did that come about?
Yeah, so the last, year and a half or so, Tapanahoni was or is still the project that we started drilling and are continuing to drill. More recently, a group has approached us looking to enter into an agreement to see if we can work together on advancing their concession. It's well located, obviously about 70 kilometers south of us, in between Miata and Antino.
So you weren't actually looking for new ground, or at least not there, but they came to you, right?
Yeah, we weren't actually actively pursuing other ideas, no.
Okay, no. Interesting. Yeah. One of you, please give us the details on the project, on Lawantino. What's the location? You alluded to that already a bit, but what's the geological situation? In short, why did you decide to go ahead with acquiring it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
The Lawantino concession is very close to a large-scale structure called the Central Guyana Shear Zone, which the Antino property is northeast of that. The Lawantino is southwest of that structure. And from aerial photography, there has been decades of alluvial mining of gold within the Lawantino concession. And the same structure continues northwest towards the Sela Creek concession, where you have Miata Metals working. So it is favorable ground to be proximal to the Central Guyana Shear Zone, because it is a later structure that just enriches any mineralization that can be adjacent to it. So it has a very important role. And there is some great indications of orogenic style gold mineralization in the Lawantino concession. So this is why we decided to go for it.
Okay, you're saying there's indications. Can you just elaborate a bit on what that is? Is that older data, historical data, or data from the possessor, the vendor?
No, from some historic records and people on the ground. We know that for decades, since the 1920s, people have been mining alluvial gold in that area. Some people know it as the Assisi Creek area, which is a famous area. The Lawa belts have been some of the oldest and most famous gold belts in Suriname, of which Lawantino is one of them. We've also been there, took some samples, and some shear zones have been mapped with some good grade between in contact zones between the host rocks there. So that convinces us that there's in situ mineralization that can be at large scale that we still need to develop. So it's earlier stage than Tapanahoni. There's no drilling, but the groundwork is there. We recently also did a deep penetrating radar survey that tells us about the density of structures in that area, and it coincides or is proximal to these areas of small scale mining. And we are even able to recognize the late nature of the Central Guyana Shear Zone within our recently acquired concession. And we are aware of the significance of the Central Guyana Shear Zones with respect to adding complexity and higher grade ore shoots to already mineralized sections of greenstone.
Okay, interesting. So what's the next steps then? When can we get further glimpses at the potential of the project?
Lawantino will need to be assessed a bit by some supporting mapping, reconnaissance, and soil sampling programs to be able to delineate the best areas which we can develop further by sampling to make them drill ready. But it will need some boots on the ground for the next few months.
Okay, so they're looking forward to that, and certainly that will add to the news flow from the company. What we haven't talked about yet is the financial terms for getting your hands on an exciting property like that. Oscar, perhaps you can bring us up to speed there.
Yep. Yeah, we've agreed to pay the group that owns it 1.9 million US dollars over a period of 5 years. And we've also given them exposure into the listed company in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
They were very keen to get exposure to the shares. $1.8 million, sorry, 1.8 million shares is what they're getting. We have an agreement to earn up to 90% of the project, with a call option for the remaining 10%.
Okay, so
So
that
in
means
the
you
end,
could
it will
buy
be
it later at a later point. You could buy it back.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. In the next 60 months, we can make that decision to exercise that call option, yay or nay.
Okay, and this the work commitments too?
There's a work commitment. The first year is all rightish. That's about 150 US. And then it's scaled up over the next couple of years. And we can push this through a bit quicker if we can, depending on the situation and also the teams available and the additional geos that are currently on Tapanahoni. We might just push it through a bit quicker.
Okay, interesting.
Because of the initial exciting things that we have found. Yeah.
Okay. Well, looking forward to that. Thank you for the update. We'll see how that goes. At the moment, you're still actively drilling on Tapanahoni. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
Please give us an update on how that's going, how 2026 is treating you so far.
Yeah, good. We've kicked off drilling again in the second week of January. Down in hole 27 now. I'll let Rayiez talk about the step outs that we're doing and the direction we're drilling in. But yeah, it's going well. There should be a couple of holes out in the next couple of weeks still. I think hole 27 was started a day ago.
Okay.
So.
Right, Rayiez, please continue.
Yeah, we've by the end of the 2025, we've drilled almost 4,200 meters, and we added an additional 1,000 meters in January. However, we have gathered within the 4 months of drilling some decent structural data from oriented core, which we use to guide our understanding of the mineralization, the geology, and the geometry and distribution of the high-grade ore shoots that initiated an additional 2,500 meters of drilling, where we basically try to expand the 150 meters known Randy's pit, where we know the shear structure exists, to an area of almost 900 meters now. So the holes we've planned, it grew from 2,000 meters to 5,000. So we're planning more holes towards the south, where we had a high-grade trench of 5 meters at 36 grams per ton. We're trying to find the northern extension of the zone where we had hole 4, 6, 9, and 11, with a high-grade ore shoots towards the north. And a recent trench that we did in the far north, which was 82 meters at half gram per ton, which we are now, stepping out a bit larger. So we're trying to build some decent strike length, and that just results in more footage needed, and more footage needed means more finances are needed.
That sounds like you have your work cut out for 2026. A lot of drilling, a lot of other work. You did the financing at the end, or in the mid of last year, I think, about 8 million, more than 8 million. So how far is that going to take you?
We got plenty of money in the bank still. By the end of the year, or the end of January, we still have sufficient funds. That's also why, as Rayiez just mentioned, we've added another close to 5,000 meters at Randy, bringing that to a total of about 10,000 meters this year.
Okay.
There is money. We started spending money on Lawantino too. So that process has already started. Okay. We're still comfortable.
Okay. That's good to hear. We're certainly looking forward to see how it's all going. So I think that could be yet now an interesting point in time for investors to take a closer look at the company, right?
I think it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Over the last, let's say 6 months or so, we've drilled about 800 or 900 meters of mineralization now. And on the back of the additional holes we've planned, we might be able to grow this to 1.5 kilometers. And that's on one target at Tapanahoni. Then we've got Puketi on the other side. That drill is being welded as we speak. We're waiting for an excavator to arrive on site to start up that drill too. So that's going to be at least 5,000 meters of drilling there too. So yeah, the guys will be very busy over the next couple of months, but it's all manageable. There are enough people on site and additional people available to speed along both Tapanahoni, but also Lawantino.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. We'll be
Of
sure to
course.
check in at a later stage. At the latest, I think we should catch up when there's new drill results or new developments at the new project. Thank you.
Yeah, good.
That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Perfect.
Bye, Björn.